You reach for your phone before you even stand up. Not because anything happened, not because anyone texted. You just reach. Your thumb finds the button before your brain finishes the thought. And the strange part is this: you will do it again in 11 minutes. But the real answer is far stranger than boredom or addiction. It has nothing to do with willpower at all. Somewhere in your skull, a small almond-shaped structure is running a program that is over 100,000 years old. It does not know what a phone is. It does not know what an app is. It only knows one thing. Something might be out there, and you need to check. Think about the last time you felt that pull. Maybe you were mid-conversation. Maybe you were falling asleep. The urge showed up anyway, uninvited, small, insistent. That feeling has a name. Psychologists call it an information gap. Curiosity researcher George Loewenstein described it in the 1990s as the space between what you know and what you want to know. Your brain treats that gap like an open wound. It itches. It does not close on its own. It closes only when you look. Here is where it gets strange. Your ancestors did not have notifications. They had rustling grass. They had a shadow at the edge of the tree line. They had a silence that used to have birdsong in it and suddenly did not. For nearly all of human history, unexplained change in the environment meant one of two things: food or danger. And the humans who ignored that flicker of change, who told themselves it was probably nothing, did not always get to pass on their genes. The ones who checked did. Over hundreds of thousands of years, checking became the default setting. Not a habit, a survival architecture. Your phone did not invent this instinct. It just found the oldest button in your brain and started pressing it every 4 minutes. Now add another layer. In 1971, sociologist Herbert Simon warned that a wealth of information creates a poverty of something else: attention. He was writing before the internet even existed, and he already saw it coming. Every scrap of information you consume costs you something. Not money, focus. And your brain, the same brain built to scan grasslands for predators, cannot tell the difference between a genuine threat and a red notification dot. Both trigger the same alarm. Both demand the same check. So why the bathroom specifically? Why there, of all places? Because it might be the only moment of true stillness left in your entire day. And stillness, to your ancestral brain, is dangerous. Stillness in the wild meant something had gone quiet that shouldn't be quiet. It meant pay attention. It meant scan the horizon. Your brain was never designed for idle stillness without a threat assessment attached to it. So the second your body slows down, your mind sends the same ancient order it always has: check the environment. Except your environment now fits in your pocket, and checking it takes less than a second. There is a deeper trap hiding inside this one, though. It is not just about danger anymore. It is about reward. In the 1950s, psychologist B.F. Skinner ran an experiment with pigeons and a lever. Some pigeons got food every time they pressed it. They pressed it occasionally, when hungry, then stopped. But the pigeons that got food at random, unpredictable intervals pressed the lever obsessively, compulsively, almost frantically, even when no food came. Skinner called this a variable ratio reinforcement schedule, and it remains one of the most powerful behavior-shaping forces ever documented. Your phone runs the exact same schedule. Sometimes you check it, and there is nothing. Sometimes there is a message that changes your whole day. You never know which one it will be, and that unpredictability is not a flaw in the design. It is the design. Every app you use was built, tested, and refined by people who understand Skinner's pigeons better than you understand your own urges. Here is the part that should make you pause. The urge to check does not come from curiosity about your messages. It comes from your ancestral brain mistaking a smartphone notification for a survival signal. and a modern engineer exploiting that mistake on purpose. Consider what happens physiologically in that half second before you unlock the screen. Dopamine rises, not from getting the reward, from anticipating it. Neuroscientist Wolfram Schultz demonstrated this in primates decades ago. The dopamine spike happens before the outcome, not after, which means the moment right before you check your phone, the reaching itself, is often more chemically rewarding than whatever you actually find. You are not addicted to your phone. You are addicted to the half second of not knowing. Does that sound familiar? That flicker of tension right before you look, that tiny relief when the screen lights up, even if it is nothing. Now, think about how often, across an average day, you create that flicker deliberately. Waiting for a kettle to boil, standing in an elevator, sitting on a toilet. All moments engineered by nature to require zero mental effort. All now filled with a search for stimulation your ancestors never needed and never had. There is an anthropological detail that makes this even stranger. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar spent years studying primate social groups and found that grooming behavior in apes serves a purpose far beyond hygiene. It maintains social bonds. It signals belonging. It tells the group and the individual that they have not been abandoned. Dunbar theorized that human gossip and small talk evolved to serve the same function once our groups grew too large for physical grooming to keep up. Checking your phone in an idle moment is not so different. It is a modern grooming ritual, a quick scan for proof that you still belong somewhere, to someone, in a group that has not forgotten you. That is the twist most people never see coming. The urge is not about information. It is about belonging. Every glance at your phone in a quiet moment is your ancestral brain running a two-part check. Is there danger nearby? And, quieter but just as old, does my group still want me? You already know how this ends, don't you? The relief never fully lands. You check, you scroll, you put the phone down, and 11 minutes later, the itch is back. That is because the information gap Loewenstein described never fully closes. Every answer creates two new questions. Every scroll teases another scroll. The design is not meant to satisfy you. It is meant to almost satisfy you. Forever. So, what do you do with an ancient survival instinct that has been hijacked by modern design? You cannot switch it off. It is not a bad habit sitting on top of your personality. It is wiring laid down over hundreds of thousands of years, the same wiring that kept your ancestors alive long enough to become your ancestors. But you can do something your ancestors never could. You can name it while it is happening. The next time your hand moves toward your phone in a still, quiet moment, you can notice the half second before you unlock it. That flicker of anticipation. That is not boredom. That is not weakness. That is 100,000 years of survival instinct, mistaking a glowing rectangle for a rustling bush. And once you see it clearly, you get to choose, just for a moment, whether to listen. Consider for a moment how differently this instinct used to serve you. A hunter-gatherer scanning the horizon at dusk was not procrastinating. She was surviving. Every glance toward the tree line, every pause to listen for a broken twig kept her alive one more day and kept her genes moving forward into the next generation. The instinct was proportional to the stakes. Miss a real threat, and the cost was catastrophic. So evolution built a brain that erred heavily on the side of checking too much rather than too little. 1,000 false alarms were worth it if they prevented even one fatal mistake. Now strip away the stakes, but keep the instinct fully intact. That is your daily life. There is no leopard in the grass anymore. There is no rival tribe at the border. There is only a small glass rectangle buzzing with the same emotional weight your brain once reserved for matters of life and death. Your nervous system has not been told the danger is gone. Nobody sent that memo. So it keeps scanning, keeps checking, keeps flooding you with the same low-grade urgency your ancestors felt at the edge of the firelight.
Think about how that urgency gets manufactured today. A red badge on an app icon, a subtle vibration in your pocket, a preview text that cuts off mid-sentence, forcing you to open the app to see the rest. None of these are accidents. Design teams spend months testing which shade of red creates the strongest compulsion to tap. They run experiments on exactly how many seconds a video should play before autoplaying the next one, tuned precisely to the moment your attention starts to drift. This is not a metaphor. It is documented, deliberate behavioral engineering, built by people who studied the same psychology you are learning about right now and used it to keep you scrolling instead of setting you free. Here is the uncomfortable question worth sitting with. If an entire industry has been built around triggering an ancient survival reflex for profit, whose fault is it really when you cannot put the phone down? Is it a failure of your character? Or is it simply a 100,000-year-old alarm system responding exactly as designed to a threat that was never meant to exist? There is a quieter consequence to all of this, one that rarely gets discussed. Constant checking does not just interrupt your day, it reshapes your relationship with stillness itself. Idle moments, the kind that once allowed for daydreaming, insight, and genuine rest, now feel unbearable within seconds. Researchers have found that many people would rather receive a mild electric shock than sit alone with their thoughts for even a few minutes. Silence has become uncomfortable, not because silence changed, but because your tolerance for it quietly eroded, one notification at a time. This matters because insight, the kind that solves real problems in your life, tends to arrive precisely in those unfilled gaps. In the shower, on a walk without headphones, in the exact moments your phone has trained you to fill with a glance at the screen. Every time you reach for the device instead of sitting with the discomfort, you are not just checking a notification. You are quietly trading away one of the few spaces left where your own mind gets to wander freely.
So where does that leave you? Standing in a quiet bathroom, phone already halfway out of your pocket before you have even decided to move. It leaves you with a choice you did not know you were allowed to make. You cannot delete 100,000 years of wiring. You cannot argue your amygdala out of existence. But you can catch the half second before the reach. You can notice the flicker of anticipation and ask honestly whether it is danger or belonging, or simply a habit dressed up as both. Sometimes you will still check. That is fine. The goal was never perfect restraint. The goal was awareness, because awareness is the one tool your ancestors never had, and the one advantage that finally puts the choice back in your hands. Because you reached for your phone before you even stood up. Not because anything happened, but now, at least, you know exactly why.